going to answer some questions about dreadlocks. So if you want to type in the questions underneath here, this is Krista.
Hi everyone.
She just flew in all the way from Canada to get her dreadlocks done.
And I'm also a loctician.
Yeah.
I'm Dreadlocks.
And we have over 30 years together as a dreadlock maker experience. So we just want to know what you want to learn today.
Tell us what you'd like to know, and we'll tell you the answer.
Krista, do you have any suggestions on easy home maintenance that people can do to have awesome dreadlocks?
Easy home maintenance, lots and lots of rolling. Roll them all the time. Roll them while you're watching TV. Roll them before you go to bed. Roll them all the time if you want them to be awesome. The people who are most engaged with their dreads have the nicest dreads. The people who practice the neglect method, which isn't a method at all, don't have the nicest dreads. So what you put into them, you get out of them. That is my advice. Also, don't read too much stuff on the internet because it's all conflicting. Do your research, use your brain, and if you see something that doesn't make sense, think about it before you go and do it. That's my advice. Think and roll.
Do you think there's a correct way or wrong way to roll dreadlocks?
I think there are ways to roll dreadlocks, and there are better ways to roll dreadlocks. I think that a lot of force is recommended, but not everybody can necessarily reach that way. Sometimes people have disabilities and they're just not able to reach certain parts, and that's perfectly understandable. For those people, I recommend that they ask their friends, family members, anybody at all to help them out.
Yeah.
And if you have a disability and you have dreadlocks and your friends will not help you out with your dreads, you need to make new friends.
I tend to think that when your dreadlocks are a bit damp, you can actually change the
density?
Yeah, and you can actually, it's easier to roll them to change the shape.
It's true. When the dreadlocks are damp and you roll them, they tend to, when they dry, they're a little bit tighter. The shape that the hair is in when it's wet is going to be basically the shape it's in when it's dry. So when they're wet is a good opportunity for you to roll them if you're wondering when you should do them. But not with wax. You do not put wax on wet dreads.
Never, ever, ever.
Ever, ever, ever. You get the dreaded mold.
Number 1, yeah.
You can get the dreaded mold.
How many times have you seen that on a client?
To be honest, not very much. I tend to see mold on blondes, bleach blondes, more than anybody else, but in my 16 or 17 years experience, there's only 2 or 3 clients that have ever had it. And I think it has something to do with the porosity of the hair with the bleach blonde hair. And there are always clients who bleach their own hair, so maybe they don't necessarily always get the bleach out. But it's really not as common as people think. It's one of those fear things.
Myths, right?
Yeah, mold is uncommon. How about you, Ann Marie? How many times have you seen mold?
On one client. Actually.
One client?
Yeah, but that was really, really bad. She had, her own hair had threaded together into like one big lump.
A pillow?
Yeah. And when I was touching this lump, they were still a bit damp. And when I was cutting through it, it actually had it was like chewing gum.
Ew.
And mold inside of the whole back of her head. And it was smelling really, really bad.
Don't let it get to that point.
No.
If something feels wrong, find your nearest loctician or start pulling them apart yourself. It's much better to have dreads, have it hurt a little bit than to have that. But again, that's really uncommon. We have a comment, not a question, from Michelle Fletcher saying, "Oh my God, hi Krista. Wow, your dreads are going to be long. This is great."
Anyone has any more questions that you want to be...
Questions, comments, anything at all? We're just sitting here. Well, I'm just sitting here. It's really nice to be sitting for the first time. Usually I'm doing that. So this is very, very different for me.
And it's quite scary to do hair on
camera, so my head is hiding what she's doing, so you can't really see.
Oh, no. But it's just to do hair for someone that actually do hair like you do yourself, it's kind of... but Krista is nice, so...
Well, I would not have flown across the world if I wasn't completely confident that I was going to the best. The absolute best. And I did come here to get my dreads done, and I booked a trip around that. I did not come and happen to get my dreads done while here. This is the purpose, because Ann-Marie is amazing.
Well, if you put your heart into your work, as I know you do as well, you get really good hair.
Absolutely. You can't put this much love into it and have something not turn out. Come on, people. Questions, something, anything. I know somebody's watching. Post it in the comments section. You have messages. Should I check those?
Oh, that's Andy's.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Ann-Marie, who was your weirdest client? Okay, let me qualify that. What is the strangest request that you've ever had for dreadlocks?
I had a phone call from a guy, and he was very strange on the phone, and he started asking me really weird questions.
What sorts of really weird questions?
He asked me what type of studio I had, how many people could fit there.
Oh.
And in the end of the conversation, he mentioned that he wanted me to do dreadlocks on his friend's pubic hair for his stag party.
Oh, no. How much did you charge?
And I told him that, not me.
Fair enough.
He's like, but it would be a fun thing. I'm like, oh,
not for you.
No.
Oh, that's terrible. Oh, we have questions. Brenda Cush. Yeah, I'm watching you get your dreads. I love red dreads, says Lioness Leon. Tasha Badford. Worst type of clients, things that annoy you. Okay, the thing that annoys me, and my clients know this, it's not necessarily about their dreads, it's when they show up late but with a fresh coffee in their hand. Because I know that they're 20 minutes late and they still stop to get coffee while being late. That annoys me. Don't do that. If you're going to be late and you need coffee, drink it really fast outside and pretend like you never did that. So that is something, because time is very, very valuable, and we charge by the hour. So try to be on time.
Yeah, and if you're late,
say you're sorry
and give a call and say that you're late, so you actually know that someone is showing up or not.
It's true.
People that book an appointment and never show up.
We remember who you are. we have lists in our head of the people who have done that, and it never goes away, because we don't look for you. You find us. So we're not out there being like, please come in. So I guess there's that. Another thing, I suppose, it's not necessarily annoying, but I wonder about it when people ask us for our advice, then they don't take it. They ask for our advice, we tell them all. I even have a PDF on my website, dreadlove.net. On the top right corner of any page is a downloadable PDF aftercare sheet, so that you can always check it out and use it.
Yeah.
And the people who don't do it, and they come back, and I'm like, did you roll your dread? They're like, I don't know what happened. I'm like, did you roll them? No. Did you put the wax that I recommended? No. Did you go to bed with wet hair? Yeah. Did you do anything I asked? They're like, well, I didn't. I thought the way I did it was better, but yet you're coming to me with gnarly dreads. So, listen to the experts. And if you have an expert near you, listen to them. Any more questions? Worst type of clients? I guess worst type of clients, late people and people who don't listen to advice that they asked for. Time wasters. I guess that's all it is, time wasters.
For me also, if you come in for a maintenance, I highly recommend that you actually have clean hair when you come in.
Yes, please
and also when you also do dreadlocks on new hair. Especially me, I'm really allergic to pollen, so at the moment, if people come in with really dirty hair, they have like pollen from other trees. And I will start sneezing just because I'm standing with my head in someone's...
That's happened to me. I wonder if that's it. Sometimes I sneeze and I'm like, oh, I'm allergic to you. It never occurred to me that it was pollen. I learned something.
That's good.
If I start sneezing, you have pollen head, which isn't the worst thing in the world, but
But fresh hair.
Fresh hair. It's like if you go to the doctor, you wash first. At least I hope that you do. If you go to the hairdresser, the dread hairdresser, please wash first.
Yeah.
Just wash. Wash it.
And actually, one of the best tips, I think, is to actually wash your hair on a regular basis, because dreadlocks like being clean. So please start doing that instead of walking around with really greasy, fat dreadlocks.
Yeah, the neglect method is no method at all, and I stand by that. I don't care if I get negative comments. That brings us to a new thing. As for washing, so the way that I recommend my clients to wash is be very gentle. Shower is usually, for shorter dreads, best, because you can take the shower head and get under there and focus on the root. Make sure you get it all and rinse it out really, really well. When you go to dry your dreads, take the towel or the chamois, those work as well, and squeeze the dreads tightly to get it out. A lot of rubbing can be a little bit damaging when your dreads are new. A lot of friction, the wrong kind of friction, can make dreads messy, but it doesn't mean that you shouldn't have clean dreads. And they're probably wondering, how often should I wash my dreads? I will wash these babies for probably 2 to 3 weeks, and then after that it'll be about once a week or so. Dreads that are made properly are not going to fall apart. No. Also, rolling is important. The more you roll them, the tighter they'll be.
And if you're like one of these persons that have really oily scalp, then you can wash it even more often, because it's better to get the oil out of the hair than actually having that all sit inside the scalp. So you can, but you have to make sure that your dreads dry properly in between each washing.
Yes.
And I usually, a big tip from me is, when I've been washing my dreads, I take them like this and I squeeze, like
wring them out.
Really squeeze out the water like this, and just push the water down. Then it makes it so much easier for them not to drip down on all your clothing and stuff like that. And it makes it dry faster.
So Haley Rust says, I am dying to get my hair done by someone that really knows what they're doing, but I've been searching for so long and still can't find anyone in London, England. Loving the live feed, by the way, great stuff. So, Haley, you should go to the Dread Stuff Dread Makers list and see if there's somebody listed there. On Ann Marie's website, is it dreadstuff.com?
Yes.
Dreadstuff.com. There's a section for worldwide dread makers, and we're all on there. So look up London, England, and check it out and see if somebody's there.
Or you can just take a cheap flight to Stockholm.
Or you can take a cheap flight to Stockholm, or a little bit of a less cheap flight to Toronto, Ontario, Canada. We'll see.
Maybe you can do a
stopover. I'll do one, half you do the other.
Out of it.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Would that be really cool? We'll give you $5 off, Haley, if you do that.
My biggest recommendation to people, if you're looking for the right person to make your dreadlocks, do your research and ask around where people go and recommendations. And it's really good if you can see someone that actually had their hair done at this stylist place. And also you have to go with the gut feeling.
Yes.
One really important thing is that you speak the same language. If you don't speak the same language at all, a lot of misconception about what the dreadlock is going to look like, and how the sectioning should be, or how long they can be, or even the after maintenance can be really hard to understand. So that's like the biggest.
Does that happen to you a lot?
I hear people that's been to other places and they say, yeah, they just had me sit down and I want dreadlocks, but they never asked me like what shape, how long.
It's like going to a restaurant and saying, I want food, and then they bring whatever. It's not.
So just make sure that you click with the person that's going to do your hair. It's very, very important.
We click.
Yeah, really. So but that's important.
And the time goes by a lot faster when you like your loctician, for both of us. So as a client, I know that it's got to be intimidating coming in and knowing that you have to sit down for anywhere between 2 and 10 hours with somebody. So as a loctician, you need to make sure that your client is comfortable. So you have to like each other, basically. It's a relationship, and you have to, you generally will come back for maintenance. So it's best if you enjoy each other's company and look forward to it, like any relationship, really.
And usually the most locticians that I know of offer consultations.
Free. Consultations should be free.
And just go in and see them and see, like, does it feel good?
I always book my consultations while I'm working because I want them to see what I do and how it's done. And if you have somebody in your chair who's getting it done, obviously that's representation. And often the client in the chair is happy to sing your praises and be like, this is an awesome idea, congratulations, welcome to the club. So if you come in for a consult with me, you may not necessarily be alone unless you request to be alone. Then I don't mind at all, of course. But yeah, it's like getting a tattoo, which obviously I have lots of. Do your research. Do your research. Ashlyn Baker, love you, Krista. Aw, love you too. Anyone else? Okay, let's ask each other questions. What's the shortest hair you've ever done dreads on without extenders?
Maybe 7 centimeters, something like that. But it's all depend on the hair. Afro texture hair is easier to make dreadlocks out of if it's shorter.
Yeah.
And you?
Yeah, same, about an inch. They're short little nubby ones, but they will grow long and strong.
Yeah.
And I suppose in one way, those dreads are even more real than, say, dreading your hair, because it's the new growth that comes from your scalp as the naturally shedded hair mats up. That is your true dread. Not to say that the dreading isn't, but you grew that dread yourself, and that makes you feel pretty good. So don't be scared to get short hair dreads, because they're awesome. And there's also always extenders that can be done, which is what's happening to me. Look here. This
It's going
turns into this.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool? It's
So
pretty
what
amazing.
we've done is I mixed, how many colors was it?
4 or 5.
Into different shades. So she will have like different shades of orange, blonde, champagne color in her hair. And I kind of like when dreadlocks become a bit different shades, because it makes it look like you have a lot more hair. And it looks prettier to look at.
Hair has several shades, like undreaded hair has several different shades in it. So this way it just mimics that. When purchased hair is put in, it's not that it looks fake, but it just looks a little more real this way. Oh, we have a question. Any good advice on how to make wraps on the dreads, with yarn? Actually, I know just the place you can go, which is Ann Marie's YouTube channel, which is, what is it? What's your YouTube?
It's Dread Stuff TV, and I have several different tutorials there where you can do, on how you can do wraps at home.
It's awesome. I actually learned how to do a wrap from watching her tutorial. I didn't know how to do it before.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
And now I do them all the time, and it's awesome. So it's fun, actually. I like it. It's like a type of braid, except the middle piece, the dread, doesn't move, and you're moving the different pieces all the way around it in like a braid pattern, and then you can finish it off in different ways. But watch the tutorial, and you'll learn just like I did.
Maybe it's one of these.
Yeah.
So you can make different kinds. Those are made out of yarn. You can make them out of thread and different things.
Literally anything. Just make sure you have a lot more material than you think you'll need, because you need quite a bit.
And also you can just, if you want to just attach it over a night or something, you can just do an extra yarn piece like this, and then you just tie it.
That's
around
nice
the
for
hair.
an accessory.
And it's just for the night. And you don't need to wrap your actual dread, because if you have a lot of yarn wrapped around the dreadlock, it can take a lot of time before it dries in the middle.
It's true.
So it's safer and easier way to just do it around a piece of yarn than just.
And then you get more volume.
Yeah.
Which is always good. The higher the hair, the closer to God.
Yeah.
That's a really bad joke. I think it's good.
Do you remember the question about the? Oh no, I don't know what it's called in English.
What is it? Well, I have that translator app.
No, we have the. I sent you the.
Oh yes, okay.
With the white dots.
Oh, okay. I think okay, hold on. Seems like my locks sometimes pull out from the roots and create white specks and look like dandruff. How do I stop this or prevent it? Okay, so it's not dandruff, it's not lice, it's not anything. It's actually perfectly natural, and literally all dreadheads have it. What it is the follicle of the hair that would have fallen out into the ground, into the drain, wherever, is now getting caught up in your dread, which is what a dread is. So it's normal. If you see the little dots, it actually means it's working. To prevent it, you have to not have dreads anymore.
I don't know if we can show them this, that you actually see the...
Okay, extreme close-up. Can you see? I don't think you can.
I think it's true.
Yeah, okay, anyway. But you can color your hair. If you color your hair, that will get rid of it. If you don't color your hair, you can painstakingly cut them out one by one, but there will be thousands. I would say just don't worry about it, because all dreadheads have them. It's when we have dreads, we notice more things about them. Like I had a client who emailed me the day after getting them and said, I just noticed there's like a lot of hair sticking out from the sides. And I wrote being worried, thinking that they're coming undone, so they came in and it was like this. From far, this doesn't look like any hair, but up close, which I won't show you because it doesn't work, there are little hairs sticking out the side because it's made out of hair. Something that's made out of hair is going to have hair coming out the side. So it's okay. It's all okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. It's my hair pollen. Oh, hey, he timed out. Okay, another question. Where can I get them done? In Texas, Dallas. Again, see the Dreadmaker list, which is a brilliant idea, by the way.
For me, it's very interesting because the dreadlock community in the world is really, really big.
Mm-hmm. But underground, sort of, and it doesn't need to be. Even though right here, we're obviously not underground. We're in a beautiful, attic-y, amazing, high-ceiling space with lots of windows.
Yeah. So we tried to create this dreadlock maker list just because I get questions every day, like, where can I get my hair done? Mm-hmm. And yes, I would love to travel the world, so please send me your airplane tickets, no problem.
Same here, I'll go pretty much anywhere as long as you pay for it.
But then I know there's a lot of people with good talent all over the world that
can do what we do.
Yeah, so just go on there, and if you're also a dreadlock maker and want to be on that list, please email us and we'll send you the information that you can fill out, and we will put you on the site. So just let us build a community together.
Yes.
I think that's important.
Inclusiveness is so important. I mean, that's part of the reason why I do this work, is because I want people to feel less alone. And Ann Marie, we've been talking about it all morning. It's the same thing. And people in this world are so hooked into their phones and computers and things that they don't talk to each other. And this is kind of a way that we can connect, because I'm now almost all in the same club. You have dreads, you automatically have kin. You know, dread people give each other the wave. It's a family and it's unity. So you don't need to feel alone, because there's lots out there. You just don't know them. We have another question. I use a crochet hook to pull loose hair into the dreads. Does that damage my dreads? If I want to take them out someday, do I break the hair inside the dreads? I try to do it carefully. If you try to do you want to answer, or do you want me to?
You can answer.
Okay. It depends how you're doing it. Also, define damage. If you have dreads, you shouldn't really be worried about when you take them out. But I do understand that. A lot of people need to know, want to get dreads, but need to know and feel comfortable with knowing their hair will be okay after. Years ago, I had dreads, and I cut my hair to here, and it was the crochet method that was used to do them, and I cut my hair to my chin, and I combed them out. That was when I learned you can do that. It took 3 days, a lot of friends, and a few tears because it hurt, and so anyway,
you can also use the Naughty Boy removal kits. The conditioning in that makes the hair really soft and really
loose,
and it makes it kind of, when you start to comb out the dread, it makes it easier and it makes the hair stronger. So it doesn't put so much tension on the hair. It makes it more elastic, so it's easier for it to actually comb out. So don't worry that you have to shave your head.
You don't ever have to shave your head to take dreads out. That's another myth. Like, even if you had, even if right now I decided I didn't want these, we would be able to comb them out, which we're not going to. And if you have loose growth at your root, you'll always have that much that is loose, so you don't ever have to shave your head. You might have to have hair that's slightly shorter than what you started with, but that's okay.
You can fix that with extensions.
You can fix that with extensions, and there's many, many different things that you can do.
So be a happy dreadhead.
Happy dreadheads.
Them.
Exactly. Don't worry about the future, because it's going to be okay. Unless you bleach your hair, then you'll probably have to cut your hair fairly short. Bleached dreads don't tend to get combed out as happily as others, but that's bleach. You either get to be blonde or blonde dreadhead, or have hair a little shorter to take them out. I wasn't terribly eloquent, but I think you get it. Lee Lozon says, rockin' it. Hi. Peace, Lee. Anyone else?
So, Krista, why did you want to start making dreadlocks for people?
Because I've always been obsessed with them. I come from Moncton, New Brunswick in Canada, which is it's called a big city, and I now know as an adult that when you have to say it's a big city, it's really not that big. And there wasn't very much diversity there, so every once in a blue moon I would see dreadlocks, or I'd see them on TV and be like, wow, that is so cool. How does that work? What is it? I want to touch it. I want to conquer it. And even in hair school, I had a friend, and she sort of knew how to do dreads. She was playing with synthetic, with the Kanekalon, and we played around with that, and even actually crazy glued plastic dreads to my hair. That happened. They looked awesome for about 4 days, and then they started dropping one by one, and that's when I learned that I have crazy, spiky, or floofy hair when it's short, because you can't get crazy glue out of your hair no matter what you do. But yeah, basically that's it. I just always loved them, thought they were beautiful, and wanted to know more about them, so I decided that I would do this, I suppose. What about you?
Well, the same thing. I remember when I was like a teenager watching MTV, just seeing all these cool dreadlocks floating by in all these music videos. And I got really, really inspired by, like, I've always hated my hair. I don't really have so much hair that it looks like on my head, but you can always fix that with wearing dreadlocks. And growing up, the younger kids that are listening to this might not understand, but the internet didn't exist when I was a kid.
When we did homework, we had to use encyclopedias.
Yeah. And go to the library. And there wasn't really anything about dreadlocks.
The books made out of paper.
So stuff that was alternative was really hard to find information about. But I remember I found some information on the little internet that existed at the moment, and
do you remember who that was, what site or anything, or if they're still active?
Oh yeah, it was Hair Police. It was Sonia Peterson that actually taught me how to make dreadlocks the first time, that had a website, and she was also very helpful when I was writing questions to her about how to make dreadlocks and stuff like that. And years later, I actually went both to London and New York to work with her, and she taught me everything. So it's amazing how the internet can connect people, and nowadays you can't even imagine what it was like 15 years or 20 years ago, finding stuff that was alternative. really. But it was this forum that people were writing stuff about synthetic hair for years. That was really simple, but I don't remember the name.
It's probably like dreadlocks.com.
No,
No.
it was both about dreadlocks and synthetic hair extensions and stuff like that.
Okay. Cool.
If someone knows what it was called, please let me know.
Comment. Yeah, it'd be really cool to see.
Is it still there? But it was, in these days when it was like one picture and then information, and there was a forum.
This thing called dial-up.
Oh, wow.
Another question.
I'm getting old.
No, you're not. I'm still older than you. April Tate, what is the good/bad way of dyeing your dreads? You want to take it or do you want me to?
It's really, really hard to dye dreads and make them cover like the whole hair. And the very, very, very important thing is to understand that you need to have a lot of hair color if you want to dye your dreadlocks. I tried to dye my dreadlocks about 3 days ago, and they become much darker than I planned because the dreads just soaked in all the color into them. And still, even if I was really, really rubbing the color into the dreadlocks, they become, what do you call it when it's...
Spotty?
Yeah.
So you can't comb it through like you can with regular hair.
And I used gloves and really squished it in, but it's really, really, really hard. So using a friend to help you dye your dreads or go to a color specialist is really, really important. Also, when you're finished, you have to wash, rinse, maybe 4 or 5 times at least, so you really get all the hair color out of the dreadlocks. Because the dreadlocks works as a sponge and really takes it all in. So you have to really get it all out. I don't know if she wants to know what kind of products you can use or not. Like what type of hair color. I only use professional hair color done for...
box dyes tend to go dark anyway, so I would be worried that a box dye might go way, way, way too dark by accident. Because if her professional hair color went too dark and she's been doing hair for almost 20 years, it might be best to invest in in someone who...
Or at least take one dread and try it on and see what happens. And just check the times. But usually also after washing the dreads after a few times, the color seems to fade a bit, so don't panic.
It's true. But you can dye dreads. It's not a problem at all. You just need to apply it well and wash it out well. A lot of people think that you can't dye dreads, but you can. It's still hair. It still acts the way that hair does. It's still, biologically the same. It just is shaped very differently now.
Yeah.
Steve says, looking good. Dave, any tips for safely lightening henna-colored dreads? Ugh. Faster than chamomile tea and lemon. My henna hasn't faded in a year. Henna doesn't fade. In my experience, henna, you grow it out. Do you have any advice on how to get henna out? No, once the henna's in, generally. And I've actually never heard of the chamomile tea and lemon thing, so good to know. I would contact the company that sold you the henna and ask them. They should know.
I know that henna is really hard to actually put dye on to change the color.
Yeah, it's like it coats it and that's it. Whatever you got is what you got. I have a story about henna.
Tell us.
Okay, here's my henna story. The one and only time I used it. In high school, I've always had copper hair. And so I decided to try henna because henna makes your hair copper. And so I put it on and my hair smelled like mud. And then I washed it off and it was fine. The color was good. I washed it out. Glad my hair didn't smell like mud anymore. The following day at school, this boy that I liked, I don't remember his name, offered to walk me home. And I was very excited about that. So he walked me home, but then it started to rain. And when it rained, the mud cow poop smell came off my hair, and he started like, what's that smell? And I was like, I don't smell anything. He's like, you don't smell it? I'm like, nope, not at all. So needless to say, we are no longer together, nor were we ever. That was the only time he ever offered to walk me home. I don't know what he thought it was, but it wasn't good, and it probably didn't help my case that I was like, I don't smell it, and it was very obviously there. So that's my henna story.
I have a henna story.
Okay.
One of my friends, when I went to high school, we went to a music festival in the south of Sweden, and she didn't have time to color her hair before we left for the festival because we were too busy making our outfits for the festival.
That is important.
So she decided to bring the henna to the festival and to put all the henna into it the day before the festival starts while we were partying. She put the henna into the hair and then put like a grocery store bag.
I think I know where this is going.
And then it started to rain. And the henna started to pour like down. So she actually had like these
stains
all over her head. And then there was no warm water, so she couldn't rinse it out.
Oh my god, that's terrible. That's way worse than my story.
So don't do henna on a music festival.
And just check the weather forecast at least, because it seemed both our stories involve rain and henna, and I don't know, that says something. We got more stuff. I think it's Lisi says, I have really thin hair. Will it look okay if I get dreads? So the awesome thing about dreads is with fine hair, it makes you look like you have more hair. With really thick hair, it tames it down. So the answer, in my opinion, is yes. On the first day, you might be kind of freaked out because you're going to see the sections. The first day that we do dreads, you see the sections very tightly. You will see the scalp in between them, and it makes some people feel kind of bald. But that settles in within a week or so, and then it looks more like a part than a really tight section. And over time, as the naturally shedded hair gets caught up in the dreads become much thicker, meaning the bulk of it. That's why people with dreads have a ponytail that's like that big, when people without, it's like that big. So don't be scared, but know that it might take a little bit of time for you to acclimate to your dreads.
If you want to see what my hair looks like without dreadlocks, under Dreadlock Stories at Dread Stuff, you can see that I've shared my story over there with different pictures of what they look like in the beginning and later on, and I have pictures of my own hair only, or undreaded hair, and you can see that my hair is really, really thin and fine.
And look at her now. You would never know she's a mermaid. She's a standing mermaid. I have a mermaid doing my
I would
dreads.
really don't be afraid if you have too thin hair. Usually your hair looks better when it's threaded.
Yeah.
But it's also good to know to recommend to not make too thick dreadlocks if you have thin hair.
It's true.
Just go with thinner ones.
Thinner ones means you have more.
And you can always add extra dreadlocks on top of the ones around it if there's a section where you think it's too baldy or something. So you can always play around with that.
Updos too. Updos. Charmaine is very pleased that Daryl Dixon made it to Stockholm.
Good.
Yeah. All those Walking Dead fans out there. And why are my locklings keep falling? Why do they keep falling out? I back combed and now a month later they aren't formed. Like I combed. We just got a message, but I don't know what it says because I don't speak Swedish. What did it say?
Are you guys seeing us?
They're still messaging.
Oh. It says that we're live here. I don't know. We'll see. If you don't see us in the picture, please
comment. Let us know. Message us. Yes. Okay, we're good. So, why do they keep falling out? They're not tight enough. You need to do something to make them tighter. Either get a crochet hook, not a latch hook, but an actual crochet hook, the size of like 1.5 down to 0.5. Like you go to a a craft store or a knitting store and get this, like one of the really small crochet hooks, and do your best at trying to make it tight, or wrap the hair around and pull it through, wrap the hair around and pull it through, lots and lots of rolling. And backcombing is great, but at a certain point you need to do more to tighten them for certain hair types. So just keep trying, just keep working at it, and it'll happen.
And a good tip is when you backcomb the hair from the beginning, make sure it's
tight to the scalp.
Yeah, it's tight to the scalp and stands straight out.
Yeah.
So it's not like falling down. Mm-hmm. If it's falling down if it goes like this and still backcombed, it's not backcombed enough.
It should be super stiff.
Yeah, like Statue of Liberty.
Yeah.
That's what we want.
It's true. Okay,
do we have any more questions?
Yeah, we do. We just have a couple. Okay. So Lee wants me to point out about the bridging that I do. So I do this technique, and she said that it was awesome for filling out the top of her hair regarding thin hair comment. So I do this thing. I've come up with this technique. I've called it bridging. Other people do bridging too. I can't speak for their technique. So what I do is it's a way, check out on dreadlove.net under the category of bridging and hair integration systems. You'll see that there are ways to fill in the gaps between your dreads. I'm not going to tell you now how it's done, but if you're interested, contact me and I'd be more than happy to discuss it with you. So that's a thing too. So if you really are worried, you can always do it, but it does require you to come in every 2 months for maintenance. Awesome answer. Where can I see? Okay, Lisa wants to know where to see the pictures.
The pictures of what?
Let's go back. Which pictures? Thin hair. For your hair, your befores.
Under Dreadlock Stories at dreadstuff.com.
Dreadlock Stories at dreadstuff.com. Go here so you're still in the frame.
Maybe Andy can put up a link in the comments. Okay.
Just scroll, you'll find it. And
there's like a bunch of people that share their Dreadlock stories on the site. So you will just find, it says Ann Marie's Dreadlock story. Mm-hmm. And if you're a dreadhead that wants to share your Dreadlock stories at Dread Stuff, please email us and we will make it happen.
It's all about making the world smaller and closer.
And your information about how you're making your dreads and what's your beliefs are really important to share with the world. So we're happy to share it.
True. Okay, here's a question, Ann Marie. This is from me. Is there any wrong way to make threads?
Yes. Don't use cow poo.
Oh my god, does that happen?
Don't use honey.
Don't use glue.
No.
Even though I did, but I was really young and stupid.
I've used glue also when I was...
Okay. That makes me feel a little less bad.
14, 15. Pre-internet, yes.
Don't use rubber. Or eggs. Don't use eggs. But don't use rubber bands either. You can use the ouchless plastic ones, but rubber will rot in your hair. Your natural oils will disintegrate it and turns to like tar, and it's really hard to get it out. It's nasty.
It becomes like really sticky. But for me, it's important, if you want lasting dreadlocks, do it as natural as possible, because it actually, your own hair will take the shape it's needed, and then you will get really, really nice dreadlocks that actually forms really nicely. So I'm just here talking about natural dreadlocks. It's about not adding too much extra chemicals or other stuff to make it dread. Or if you backcomb the hair and crochet it together nicely, then it's actually going to happen by itself. And your own hair will take the form that it wants to. And then you will have lasting long dreadlocks for a really, really long time. So
I know some people are probably thinking that what you're doing right now isn't necessarily natural. So I'm going to answer that before we get the question. In my opinion, and probably yours too, this is natural. What she's doing is backcombing my hair, no chemicals. She has a tool that she's using to rearrange the hairs. This hair is human hair. That is purchased hair, not shaved off of somebody, not from dead people. There are hair stores, that's where it's bought, and I've chosen to have extenders put in my hair. Not everybody needs to do that. So the hair is basically rearranged so that it sticks together. And even the word stick is loosely used because it's woven. It's woven so that it's tight. So in my opinion, this is very, very natural. Completely ignoring your hair and putting a bunch of gunk in it and not washing it, to me that's quite unnatural because it's not natural to be dirty and dirty.
Yeah. And a lot of, like one of the biggest misconceptions about dreadlocks is that if I stop washing my hair, I will get natural dreadlocks. But that's like the totally opposite, because you get a lot of oil into the hair if you don't wash it.
And scalp flakes, like dead skin flakes that naturally just come out, but with that, they don't. And then the oil mixes with the flakes and it makes what I call a paste. Yeah, it's nasty, it's gross. Don't let the paste happen. No paste. People are like, yay, I can see, so they can see.
Good.
Good.
What more do you guys want to know?
What do you want to know? Okay, so here, if you do get dreads, here are some things people are going to do to you. They're going to touch your hair. You're allowed to tell them not to. It's your body. It's your choice. Nobody's allowed to touch you without your consent. That includes your dreads, even though they look amazing and people will want to. You're allowed to say no, and it doesn't make you any of the bad words that people may decide to call you after that. Yes, you do wash dreads regularly. How do you wash them? People are going to ask that, and you can respond with, well, how do you wash your hair? That's one that I'm quite fond of. It's like, you tell me first, and then I'll tell you mine. And then they'll say, well, with shampoo. And you'll be like, oh, wow, me too. What are other ones? The touching, the washing.
I had a woman come up to me on the subway. It came up to me and just did like this on really, really hard.
Ugh, awful.
On my head.
That's assault.
And I'm like, ow, what are you doing? And I did the same thing on her. Pulled really, really hard on her scalp. And she said, ow, that hurt. And I'm like, what do you think it did to me?
Yeah, why is it different?
People think
that you're public property and you're not. We're not.
I've had also, I thought like someone was touching my bum when I was in the grocery store, and then I realized that my dreads were on the behind here, and they were like touching them like this, and I'm like, what are you doing? It's like, they're so long.
A person was touching your dreads on your bum?
Yeah.
Don't do that. No. This is also a thing for people interested in dreads, what not to do. Don't do any of the things that we're talking about to other people, please. Always ask first. And even then, sometimes maybe just don't. People with dreads and people with a lot of tattoos, people with blue hair, know that you're not the first person to ask them that question that day. They get it all the time, all the time, all the time, and it can be kind of tedious to constantly be explaining how you wash your hair or why you can't touch me. So, be respectful, be considerate, read the situation. If it seems appropriate, then, maybe go for it. If it is maybe not appropriate, like at the grocery store, maybe don't. Just don't. Any advice on coloring or bleaching dreads? Again, same as we said before, make sure that you, lots of coverage, have enough color, and wash it out super, super well. Remember, with bleach, it keeps working unless you actually shampoo it out, so you can't just use water to wash it out. Otherwise, it keeps, even though it's gone, there's a residue, it keeps working, and it will make your hair very, very fragile. Somebody wrote your dreads. Not sure what that means, but cool. So Ann-Marie, what's the longest you've ever done dreads for in one day without a break? We tend to not pee or eat when we do this for far longer than we should.
I think the longest I've stood with a client was 16 hours.
Oh wow, what did they get done?
It was dreadlocks with extensions. And there was a lot of dreads, thin dreads, long ones.
Oh.
But the weird thing is that when I'm working, I get into this mode, and I don't really, the day just passes. I don't even know what time it is, and I just it felt like I just started.
Meditative?
Yeah, it is. So I don't, I really need someone to put the watch on and say, you have to go and eat, otherwise I get fainted. But I think that's the longest, yeah.
Okay.
And you?
12 to 14,
yeah.
And it was when I started doing dreads regularly, so the same job now wouldn't have taken me that long.
No.
But I do get into that meditative state, but I don't always, and sometimes towards the end of it, I really feel it, and I'm really looking forward to that glass of wine that's waiting for me at home. And other times it feels like you just started, but a lot of that has to do with the chemistry between you and the client. And if you have that chemistry, it's awesome, and you almost don't want to leave at the end. You're sad because you're seeing a brand new friend go. Because how often do you spend 12 hours with one person? Never. It doesn't happen. And that's something that we do regularly. Maybe not 12 hours, but similar. So, again, chemistry is important. So when you're going to find a loctician, make sure that you vibe. And you don't need to vibe lots. Just make sure you don't get a bad feeling, I guess is what I'm saying. You know, a not bad feeling is equal to a positive feeling when it comes to something like this, because you can grow from that. You can grow into something really awesome. If you get an awesome feeling right away, you're golden.
I've had clients that gone to me for like 10, 14 years and come like on a regular basis every 3 months to get their dreads maintained. And it's just awesome to see how I get to follow people in their growth as a person and what's happening. So
we start to feel like you're all our kids somehow, and we become really proud of you when you do things.
The dreads we make are ours, just to let you know.
Absolutely.
But it's not that many people that you actually spend so many hours on a regular basis with.
Mm-hmm. One-on-one, talking all day. Or not talking, which is also all right. I have some clients that like to come, sit, close their eyes, and they actually fall asleep. And I don't know how they can sleep during this. Although this doesn't hurt half as bad as what you guys say, so I don't really know what you're complaining about, all my clients that complain.
It's me.
It's you, she's magic. But I've also heard that I'm gentle, so I'm not sure.
I've actually had one client, she slept for 10 hours.
Oh, wow. She must have been very tired.
I'm not sure if
Is she okay? All right.
She took like a sleeping pill or what she did. She slept.
And then I've had that too, and then you move their head around to where you need it, and I have a headrest and my chair reclines, so, and they're like, hope it's okay, and I'm like, as long as we've pre-discussed that it's okay that I work on you while you're sleeping, I don't mind. Question, any advice on what types of hair types for extensions? You'd have to talk to an extension specialist, which I also recommend, but a hair type that matches yours. Always get the same type of hair that matches yours for extensions.
Yeah, and my best recommendation is not to buy the cheapest hair.
No, just because it's human doesn't mean it's good.
Some human hairs are mixed with plastic.
Yeah.
And also
chemically treated.
Yeah, and for me, the most important thing is also that, say if she has black hair, just don't buy one color of like plain black hair, just buy like two that are really, one is black and one is a bit more brown, so you have different shades in it, because it will look more natural if you mix them together. It will become more depth in the color. So that's like my best advice. And
same to how she mixed the hair for me.
Yeah.
Does the same thing.
And don't be cheap when it comes to that, because you're going to wear it on your head. So maybe save up one more month until you have your hair done, just to have it correctly done.
With weave extensions, you should be able to reuse the hair for about a year before it starts looking ratty, and even then you can trim the bottoms and keep it longer. I had one client who kept her hair for 3 years.
Yeah,
so
that too.
Yeah, cheap hair you can keep it about not even a month, because as soon as you wash it, the silicone washes off, and you get this big matting of, it's just not good, and you'll be fighting with it. So it's best to spend the money on that. Best method for doing extensions and maintenance.
Is she talking about dreadlocks, or is she talking about her hair extensions?
This is the same lady who was asking the previous question, so I think we just answered because she says, awesome, thank you.
Okay.
You're welcome. Yeah. Why do you love doing this job, Ann Marie? Why do you do this as opposed to anything else? Because it's not for the glory.
I don't know. It's a weird. I don't even know where to start. Sometimes I feel that I haven't chosen this. It's chosen me to do this. I don't know why. But I do really, really love the work, and I've been working with dreadlocks every day for over 16 years now. It's a really long time. And I still love every day going to work. It's amazing. But I think, why I don't get bored with just doing this and this every day.
I think that all we do is this all day, but it's so much more.
It's the connection with the clients that are more important for me. And it's that personal connection with the people that makes me still want to do this. And also, I want to inspire other people to take the leap to wanting to get dreadlocks done if they have had that dream for many years. So it's nice to be able to inspire other people in what we do.
Good answer. She is speaking for me too. I feel the same way. I wasn't a little kid thinking like I want to be a dread maker when I grow up. I
don't even know. I think I knew that it existed.
No, I think I wanted to be a ballerina who never took a dance class. Like it. No,
I wanted to become an artist.
Well, you did. You are one. So
I'm painting people's hair.
Basically, but it is about. It's just this awesome magic that happens when it's done right, and it's so incredibly fulfilling that I don't know what I'm going to do when I can't do it anymore. If something would ever happen, or I get old, God forbid. But it's I'll never have this connection ever again, and this time of my life is very precious because it's a time when I know that every day something awesome happens, and I'm just so grateful that I have the ability to do this and that I get to be me. That sounds crazy.
No, it's not crazy.
It just feels so lucky, and I just want to build this and build this and build this, and I think that's why I work one-on-one with people, and I don't want to work at a salon. I don't want to have a partner. I don't want to have more, because the more energy you add to a special situation, the less special it becomes. Also, we're talking a lot about this energy and connection stuff. It doesn't mean that, no pressure. There's nothing, don't walk in thinking like, oh my God, I need to have an amazing connection with this woman, or else she's going to think. It's not like that at all. It's something that happens naturally, and it's totally okay. So I don't want to put that out there and scare anybody off, because it just means that we like you, that's all. And as long, you don't need to feel a connection to us. We just tend to feel them towards you. Question. April, I'm almost at 2-year mark and getting lots of loops. Should I start? Should I leave or pull them in? Use crochet method to start. What is the best tool to use and size? Once the loops start, hand rolling doesn't help as much as you might want it to. It does, so continue with the palm rolling. But start pulling them in with the hook. And size anywhere between, if they're big loops, you can get away with a bit bigger hook, but still no bigger than 1.25 or 1.5. And down, I use 0.75 is what works for me, but, whatever beneath that works for you. Sometimes when the hook is too small, you jab yourself and make yourself bleed way too much, and it's a hook. So when it goes in, it's got to come out and it's going to take the skin with it. Yeah, under the nail, it's nasty. So gentle, and be aware of where your fingers are. If you've got a loop here, be very aware of where things are. But oftentimes with the loops, it's it's hair. So it's okay if they're imperfect, but if they really bother you, find a loctician or start pulling them in and rolling regularly.
Also, my tip for people is that if you just look at your dreads overall and just look at the big results of what they look like.
Look at the head of dreads
Not
instead
like
of the individual nitpicky. Yeah.
Because if you have one loop that you don't like, that's only you will see it. But I know some people that want them to be perfect, and wearing dreadlocks is a journey. So just be aware of that.
It's true. Sometimes it's about don't sweat the small stuff, and a little bump here and there is kind of the small stuff. But if you're very, very...
And if you have one dread that's really, really loopy, you can also wrap it with some string or thread really, really tightly.
It's true, but that'll compress it after about a month.
Yeah, and that will actually help it. But don't put like thick wool over it.
Mm-hmm. Something where air can get through.
And that can help you.
Yeah.
So we hope that works.
Mm-hmm. Natural fiber wool will retain water a lot longer than something that's not a natural fiber. So if you're going to use wool, make sure you leave a little bit of space in between. Another question. I made dreads on someone else for 14 hours and I could hardly move my hands after that. How do your hands feel after dreading for hours? And do you have any tricks on how to make the hands hurt less? Epsom salts baths. I take a lot of Epsom salts baths, and if you don't have a bathtub, just soak your hands and use a good handful of the Epsom salts, and they have many different smells, and soak your hands at night. It makes a big difference because I think it takes the lactic acid out, which is what makes your muscles hurt. Yeah, also, with us, we do this every day, so the muscles are used to it. Like, I have one hand where the muscle's way bigger than the other hand, and calluses in the right places so that it protects a little bit, but, practice and Epsom salts is my advice.
I actually get more pain when I'm not doing hair than actually doing hair. So I think it's like when my muscle rests, then
it hurts.
Yeah.
I get more shoulder pain than hand pain. People always ask about the hands, but it's the whole body that's working. My hands, they don't hurt as much as you might think. Although some days there's like dread removal kills my hands because
I won't do
new.
that
I don't any. Well, it's always somebody who suckers you in, but it was like once a year I'll do it, but it's awful because of muscles I don't use, and then it can't work for 2 days because I have like old lady claw hands, and it's that kills me. That's terrible. I hope that answers your question. Okay, Ann-Marie, so let's pretend I don't know anything. How should I take care of these once I walk out of here?
Where should we start? Be happy. Be proud of your dreadlocks. A lot of people that come and get dreadlocks done are a bit scared of what people are going to say. Remember that if you want this, then you should go with it. Try not to wash them for the first 2-3 weeks, I would say. After that, wash them about once a week and start to palm roll them often. You can both palm roll them like this, and also you can use the tip of the fingers, like if you just move the hand like this, and just roll them by the scalp here, because that will help the root hair to dread a bit faster as well. I add the string at the root just to make sure that the hair that's going to grow out will dread faster, and it will make all the dreadlocks separated like this. The string you can take out after 3 to 6 months, but it will help you about until 6 months of new regrowth. You call it regrowth, right?
Regrowth, yeah.
A lot of palm rolling, and just be happy that you have dreadlocks.
I will do all of those things.
Yeah. You can crochet them if you want.
I don't want to. I do this all day at work. I don't want to crochet my dreads.
Some people crochet their dreads too much, so they actually fall off. So don't do it too much, because then you will have too much loose hair. So don't go through your hair maybe every other week. Like if you do it every day, you're doing it too much.
Sorry, I missed that part. What am I not supposed to do every day?
Crochet them.
Oh, yeah, no, don't do that. That'll break the hair.
Yeah. So maybe once every other week, if you have hair sticking out of them, then you can do that. But otherwise,
just chill.
Yeah, and let them.
Michelle wants to know, she is my lovely friend and client, what's our opinion on the actual human hair dread extensions? I have the alpaca ones, but I'm thinking of switching to the actual human hair ones. I saw them online. Heads up, Krista. I'd have to see what you're talking about, because sometimes I don't know what you mean. The alpaca ones that she's talking about, I have another lovely client, Sabrina, and actually Shar makes them as well, wool and alpaca dreads that are just tied at the root. So long dread and then tied at the base to give you more volume. And I like them personally a little better than the synthetic because they're natural fibers. They feel a little bit softer. And it's just different. I've been working with synthetics for so many years that it's cool to try something else, and I like that I know the people that made them. So as for the human hair ones, if they're like that, you can put whatever you want, and so I'd have to send me a link of what you're seeing, and then you and I can speak privately about it, and I'll tell you what I think. It might be dread extensions that you're supposed to add to the end of your dread that you're talking about, but I don't know. So I'd have to see them. Anything else? We could have like a talk show, a morning talk show. I don't know how many dread questions we can talk about every day for an hour, but
I think there could be a lot of questions.
I think so too.
Yeah.
If people knew they were allowed to ask them with no judgment. Also, be kind to each other. Be nice to each other. No judging.
And one of my tips is that do your research when you're starting to do things, because some things might work for one type of hair and doesn't really work for another type of hair. So just play around with it as well and see what works for you. I know a lot of people ask me a lot, like, what type of product should I use, what will work for me, and just try them out and see what you like and what you don't like.
No petroleum. Nothing with petroleum in it.
No. And lately, the biggest questions I've had for many clients is that they get a really dry, itchy scalp during the springtime. One of the biggest things you have to remind yourself of is that usually if you get really flaky in the scalp, you're dehydrated. Do you call it that?
Yeah.
So you probably need to drink more water. That will help if you're really dry in the skin. Mm-hmm. It's probably dry here as well. Mm-hmm. And if you have a lot of loose hair up, if you have a dreadlocks in your whole hair and have very much loose hair, so it's almost growing together, then the scalp can't breathe, and then you will get itchy and stuff. So please separate your dreads a lot.
Not with scissors.
But just pulling them apart like this, and do that after each time you wash them, that will help.
Run your finger between the sections and pull out too is another good way.
And we have shampoos and sprays that will prevent dry scalp, so try them out and see what works for you. And that's one important thing that I recommend for you guys. Do we have any more questions?
Yeah, we do. How much does your hair shrink when you make new ones for the first time? So
big one, hard one.
That I'll start, and this varies with who's making them and what method is used. So, and it also depends on your hair. If you want blunted ends or if you want tapered ends, a tapered end is left loose. This is an extreme case because I wanted a lot of loose hair left at the bottom, but a tapered end would look like this when it's new, tapered, pointy. With a tapered end and with hair that's healthy and fairly thick to the bottom, you don't really lose any length with the method that she and I use. We use the same method. With a blunted end, you will lose length because you need to fold up the loose hair and then crochet that in. So you need to have some to do that. And if you have very broken hair at the bottom to have a strong blended end, you will lose quite a bit of length. But with a tapered end, you don't. So it depends on your hair, depends on who's doing it. A lot of people just back home, and hair this long can all of a sudden be this short and really fat, and that's not a good thing, because then when it grows out, you'll have a thinner dread with a fat dread at the bottom, and it's like a pendulum. So backcombing is important, but that's not the only way. That's why the crochet hook is good, because you can get a lot of length from a brand new dreadlock. So many people tell me horror stories about how they lost all of their length, and it's really sad, because people generally grow their hair out to get dreads. Something else that can shrink dreads too is salt water. Swimming in the ocean with new dreads will make you lose a lot of length, because it makes them denser and tighter. So they become stronger, but they shrink, and it's natural. So you can always tie your hair up and do the mom swim where you don't get your hair wet. But there's not a whole lot you can do to prevent that, even if you rinse it.
But I can actually tell you guys that I was diving for 10 days, and my dreadlocks are about 6 years old, and they actually shrunk a lot during the time period. I was diving 3 times a day in salt water.
So it's not just in the beginning.
No,
and
they actually became a lot different on the texture of being in the salt water.
Harder?
Yeah, and drier, but that's also the salt. So, like, having dreadlocks is really churny, and just go with the flow of what's happening.
Yeah, it's true. Somebody wants to know what products to use. So that's, as Ann-Marie said, try some out and see. There are several dreadlock companies out there. Google it and read the ingredients and see what you're comfortable with, and then try different ones. There are many. I don't think we should list them here, because then it'll look like we're playing favorites, but there are quite a few. Look for all natural ingredients and look for reviews. Reviews can be helpful, but make sure that you're looking at reviews that are accurate, I suppose, is the word. You can tell when a company writes their own reviews, and you can tell when somebody's just mad because they use the product wrong. So I've seen that too. Somebody will buy the product, use it wrong, and then trash it all over the internet. And that's not an accurate thing. It's not cool. It's not fair. But that's how the internet can work. So use your brain.
If you have questions of what you want a product to do, you can always also email us at Red Stuff, and we can help you out and tell you what products will work for your hair. So don't be afraid to ask us.
Yeah, it's true. You can email me too if you want at hello@dreadstuff.net. But Ann-Marie is more knowledgeable about different brands than I am, but I can always give you my opinion if you want my opinion. And Ann-Marie's store sells many products too, so go check out dreadstuff.com, and if the products are there, then that means that she endorses them, and she is an expert, so that means they're probably pretty good.
What more questions do you have?
Not any right now. No questions yet.
Don't use yes.
Somebody's opinion is to stay away from wax. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think if the proper type of wax is used properly, then it can be helpful in some situations. But a lot of people use the wrong type of wax, use way too much, and then get upset with the results. So sometimes some wax is good, and sometimes it's necessary, and other times you don't need it at all.
So you have to use it properly and
minimally.
And we earlier, if you didn't see that, we said that you should never, ever put wax on wet hair.
Yeah.
It's like
putting a plastic bag over wet skin and wondering why you're gross.
To, not be able to breathe, so be careful of that.
It's true. Common sense, folks. How often should you wash your dreads? We said once they're mature, but once a week is good. When they're brand new, like I won't wash these for about 2 to 3 weeks. Somebody says, how do I get an appointment with you guys? So either go to dreadstuff.com or to dreadlove.net and book an appointment. And then the person said about the wax, okay, I take it back, use wax wisely. I have to say I'm really proud of all of you. Everybody's being really nice. There's not one bad thing that has been written here. And, you know, even when somebody disagreed, the person was like, okay, that's smart, I understand. Like, this is the best internet exchange ever. Thank you.
Thank you for all the love.
All the love. You see, dread people are good, and people interested in dreads are good. And okay, that's some things to talk about. Some people are worried that they won't be able to get a job if they have dreads.
Oh.
Not true.
No.
We both have jobs, which is a bad example. But if you are neat and tidy, presentable, show confidence, you will get a job. If somebody discriminates at you due to your hair, then that is an HR issue. And I mean, again, we don't work in regular places, but this, I don't know if people will agree, but it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission once you're already working somewhere, because you can't get fired because of a hairstyle. Just make sure it's neat and tidy and tie it back.
And clean,
neat, tidy, pull back.
Yeah.
People don't know anything about dreads too, so we were talking about this earlier. If you put it in a ponytail or in a bun, people don't know that it's dreaded or not. It's just your hair is in a different shape, and explain that to them, like your hair is in a different shape. I had one client once who was worried that he would get fired from the kitchen he worked in if he got dreads because they're not clean. And as I explained to them that you're far less likely to lose hair in the food with dreads than without, because with loose hair in a hairnet, hair could slip out. With dreads, it's not going anywhere.
I have clients that are doctors. I have clients that are lawyers.
Yeah. Nurses. I had a lot of nurses.
I have one that's vad heter det?
Shall I get my translator app?
Vad heter det så?
Åklagare.
Prosecutor.
Prosecutor.
Yeah.
Very respectful, upstanding citizens. So it's and you don't have to be respectful and upstanding. You can be whatever you want. That's the awesome thing. Again, it's about confidence and presenting yourself well, and
Be yourself.
Be yourself, but also dress for success. It sounds tacky, but it's true. Dress for what you want. You don't go in a job interview dressed the way, like wearing a Daryl Dixon tank top. You know, you present yourself as you want to be seen. And then once you're there, then you've got a little more leeway to express yourself a little bit more. But yeah, forgiveness, not permission. That's how I've always lived. My mother can attest to that. Hi, Mom.
All ages.
Pardon?
All ages.
Yeah.
You have like clients from.
How old are your clients?
How old are my clients?
Yeah.
Anywhere from 8 to 80. No, not 80, but I don't like to ask the ladies how old they are, but they have grandchildren. So grandchildren that are grown up. So all ages. And the children, it's a little difficult with the children because it does hurt a bit. And I've had a lot of women ask me if I would dread their child's hair. If they already have dreads, I will maintain it for them, because I'd rather that than have them have messy, skanky dreads. But for new dreads, I want the child to be at least 9 or 10, because I don't think that they can fully consent to pain and for sitting here for that long before that. But that's just my opinion. Also, kids don't know that when you're like, well, it's going to hurt, they don't know what that means. And they don't know that sitting still this long could be torturous for a little kid. So maybe, enjoy their hair for a little while longer and let them come to their decision on their own. That's just, again, my opinion.
My clients are, the youngest one, he was 4 when he started coming to me. Mm-hmm. And the oldest one, she's 82. So it's really amazing to see that you have people with dreadlocks on all ages. Mm-hmm. And from all types of society and all
backgrounds, countries, hair types. Yeah. Dreadlocks unite us, and it's something that, you go anywhere. If you have dreads, if you see one person with dreads, you automatically have a connection. You automatically have, I don't want to say friend, because I don't want people getting upset that they're like, a dreadhead wouldn't talk to me, but you do have a connection, whether somebody will admit it or not. People are commenting saying that we are doing well and that we are awesome.
Oh, thank you. This is our first time doing
we've never done this.
live. before, so...
This is what happens when two great minds from two different awesome countries get together and be like, hey, you know what would be fun? Somebody commented that smoking environment sucks when you have dreads, and for that reason, this person had to cut theirs out because of the tar buildup. Oh, that's gotta suck.
You probably can deep clean the dreadlocks if they...
Somebody does the steam cleaning thing, but I don't know a lot about it. I think it was Mina. Go check out Mina channel on YouTube, and she has a video about how to get a lot of stuff out of your dreads. Also, she has a really wicked YouTube channel, so there's a shout out for her.
So
Mina
maybe
channel.
you can post the link later on.
Okay.
Here, when we're finished, so people can go and see it.
Okay, for sure. We keep getting a notice, but again, I don't know what it says, but again, can you see us? Somebody say if you can see us.
I think it's like every half hour it keeps on reloading something on Facebook.
Okay.
But do you guys see us? Anyone?
Anyone? Are you all gone? It takes a minute to load, so they might take a second. Does that say that it's still live? Okay. Yes, they still see us.
Awesome.
Camilla asks Ann-Marie, have you put in loose hair in your dreads? It looks great with the curls.
Do you mean the hair up here, or what does she mean?
I'm not sure. Camilla, can you clarify? Have you put in loose hair in your dreads? It looks great with the curls.
This is
Do you
actually
mean-
my own hair.
That's her hair. She just didn't dread the top, and she's got dreads underneath, and the curl is her natural hair.
That I actually
You
used.
have curly dreads.
Yeah, you can curl dreads as well.
So, yeah, they can see us. Never heard of steam cleaning.
Awesome.
Thanks. Keep that in mind when I lock them up again. I can see you. I can see you. Hearts. Love. So much love. Oh my
You're
god.
awesome!
You know, I flew here by myself. I came to Sweden by myself.
No,
I'm-
she knew me.
No, I knew her, but you were not on the plane with me. And I bought this little Swedish English dictionary, and then I realized how little I know about everything. And so, but I have to say, this country is awesome. Yesterday I arrived at 6 a.m. after an overnight flight, 2 overnight flights, one to Iceland and then to here, and I was wandering downtown Stockholm, the old town, and I was so tired, and I was lugging my suitcase that I was regretting packing everything into because it was so heavy, over cobblestones, wearing boots that were quite inappropriate for the situation. And I must have looked quite lost. Again, this is about 7 a.m., and 4 random strangers stopped to ask me if they could help me. And I wonder how sad and scared I must have looked. Not scared, but, tired. And I thought that was amazing because that doesn't happen everywhere, where people will be like, what are you looking for? Can I help you find it? And I thought that was beautiful because these people were on their way to work. They were busy. So this country is, the letter combinations are quite different from what I'm used to. But and I got lost coming back from the grocery store yesterday. But yeah, this place is great, and it's probably the most beautiful place I've ever seen. I haven't traveled tons, but the moss and flowers, it's like a storybook. It's incredible. I love Toronto, and I'm never leaving.
It's really nice.
But it's not, it doesn't look like a fairy tale.
Wait until you see the countryside.
I can't wait. We're going to see Castle. We're going to see Castle, and my friend Helena from Finland is coming, and it's going to be an amazing weekend. So I'm so happy to be here, and it's great. Okay. Somebody says bye. It was awesome listening to us. Bye. And we're not leaving. They're leaving. Haley says, I have almost waist-long hair. It's not thick, but not really thin either. But I had the sides of my head shaved ages ago, and it's now growing back and has reached my chin. Should I have extensions on the sides? And what kind of time frame for an experienced person doing my hair am I looking at? It's up to you. Do you want to have, you can have the top dreaded and leave the sides and sort of disguise it, or you can dread the sides and have short little dreads on the sides. But I would personally do the extensions because I'm not into waiting for things like that. So thick, not really thin either. It's hard because people often don't know the difference between thin and fine. Fine hair tends to be very dense and you have lots of it, but the hairs themselves are very thin, which means your ponytail's small, but you've got tons and tons of hair, which is a little bit resistant to dread. So I don't know, for an experienced person, anywhere between 5 and 12 hours. It's a pretty wide range. It depends how thick you want the dreads and
depending on if you wanted the extensions or not.
yeah, exactly.
And if it's only on the side hair, on the top hair as well.
So,
and
sorry, go ahead.
one important thing I say to my clients when I actually do a hair like that, the time is not really important for me.
No.
It's better that it takes maybe 2 hours longer to actually do the hair and not stress it, because then you will have a better lasting long hair than if I'm going to work in panic.
Yeah. Don't book anything that day except
no.
your hair.
And make sure you're well rested.
Yes.
Bring aspirin or whatever painkillers if you know
If
you
you're
have
sensitive.
a sore scalp.
Oh, okay, I understand, Camilla. It looks bigger and curlier. I saw that you put loose hair in a girl's hair the other day to make it look more feminine, and it looked like you did the same on your own hair. Those are two different things. She added hair similar to, I'm just going to speak for you now. Yeah. She added hair similar to this, and then once you wet it, the curl comes out if you have curly hair, and that was the picture. I know which one you mean because I mentioned how awesome it was too, but this is different. You see the bottom of her dreads are not curly, but the top hair is simply because it's left loose, and that's her natural texture, her natural hair.
Well,
so,
I did curl my hair.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you were just naturally awesome.
Oh, no. Maybe. Shh, don't tell anyone.
Well, you just did. Thin dreads all over, Haley asks. This is the lady with the side. Yeah, so what she just said, don't worry about the time. Go in, make sure that your kids are taken care of if you have them. Make sure that you don't need to be anywhere, and think of it too as you time. Like, when else do you get to sit down and have somebody fawn over you all day? It's, you know, it might pull a little bit, but it's time for you to just chill out and relax. You just have to sit in a chair and let somebody else do all the work, and then you walk away feeling like $1 million. So, yeah.
You will have people going, oh.
That day. I'll walk out of here today, and at least 2 people probably will comment on my hair. Then again, in Toronto that would happen. I don't know about here.
Oh, Swedish people don't say so much.
Yeah, that's what I realized. I'm like, wait, Scandinavia people are a little more reserved here.
I can talk with you.
Anyone else?
Oh.
We got about a half hour left, so...
I have, there's this really big rumor on the internet going around saying that Bob Marley had a bunch of new insects inside of his hair when he died. What do you say about that?
It's not true, because that's not true. It's just not possible, and it's, well, I guess anything's possible, but no, I say it's not true.
Well, didn't he die with a shaved head?
I don't really know, which I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I don't know that, but I do know that bugs didn't live on his head, because that's just ridiculous. And the only bug that lives in hair is lice, which is a nightmare. And we can actually talk about how to get rid of lice if you get it. But, you know, unless Bob Marley had lice, which I have no idea. I don't know, but I know that bugs don't live in your hair. They just don't, unless it's lice, which is a different thing, because that's a hair bug. So, if you get lice on dreads, generally lice don't like dreads. They prefer straight, clean hair more. Because they climb the shaft of your hair to get to your scalp, to eat your scalp, where the people are the food for the lice, not the actual hair. They just lay the eggs on the hair so that they can live in your hair. I've had clients get rid of their lice before, but it takes a long time. You need to soak your hair in either the chemicals or natural remedies for like a week, and then eventually pick out the nits one by one, which is where the term nitpicking comes from.
In Sweden, we actually have a gel spray that you spray on the hair that actually kills the eggs.
Really?
Yeah.
Why don't we have that?
I don't know.
Huh.
I can show you.
Yeah, please.
It's really good because you spray that onto the hair, and then you can pick out the eggs, and it actually kills the eggs, so it doesn't more lice won't come. So that's
good. That's great. Maybe we can put the link for that up later too.
Yeah, we can. So you don't have to freak out. Also, lavender and tea tree oil, I think it is, lice doesn't like. So if you would put some drops of essential oil into a bottle of water, if you have like siblings or kids that actually go to kindergarten and school and lice is walking around, spray yourself with that.
And your kids.
And the kids, and then they won't get lice.
Yeah.
So it's a really important thing, but you don't have to shave it off.
You never have to shave your head from something happening. It's with the right person to know how to fix it. It's always fixable. I've never ever had to cut anybody's hair. It's always fixable.